Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're back with another one of those wonderful, amazing, curious conversations. I am shut down. I am shut down. Whoa, I am shut down. Whoo! Is that how you got me, Doctor? You got me a little bit tongue twisted, a little tongue tied. We are sat down with Dr. Shawana from King's Court Season 1. Now, if you don't remember her, trust me, she had an epic connection with Thaddeus where they really got to explore love's journey. And unfortunately, it came to an end a little bit prematurely, I thought, when they had some discussions about how things should be handled, as Olivia Pope would say. And unfortunately, the connection came to a head. But I've got her on here because I can't wait to pick her brains, get an understanding of what she saw on the show, and also get to know her a little bit more. So please give a warm, and I know we can't hear you clap, but give a warm welcome to our wonderful guest, Dr. Shawana. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, I'm alive and I'm well, and I can never complain if I'm eating food.
I'm with you on it. Considering the fact that I haven't eaten today, but I'm with you on that.
Oh, you fasting and praying?
Huh?
You fasting and praying?
I'm not fasting and praying. It's just been a busy day, and I haven't had a chance to eat yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. So obviously you haven't eaten yet. So what would you want to eat?
That is a great question. I'm not even really sure. Like, as soon as we're done, I'm going to figure it out. I'm not really sure. Like, I fried fish yesterday. I don't think I want that today. So, I don't know. I'll figure something out, sure.
Does DoorDash come to your area?
Who wants DoorDash? By the time it gets to you, it's cold. You got to rewarm it. And I like my food, like, fresh, like piping hot, coming out. I'm not really a big leftovers person. So, yeah. Not DoorDash for me. It does come in my neighborhood, but it's not for me.
Listen, I hear you. I hear you 100%. Well, listen, look, I cannot wait to have you, deeply picking your mind, because I think you were quite exciting to be on the show. I think you challenged Thaddeus at points, and I love to see conversations that bring out the best in people. So before I get to that stage, though, I need to do a little something. You're looking beautiful, by the way, today as well. Loving the dress. It's all right. The truth is free. We need to make sure you're not AI. Make sure you're not a robot. Do some icebreakers here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. I got some questions for you. Okay. So it's whatever you feel just comes to, when I say it, just whatever comes to your mind. So, red or blue?
Red.
Chocolate sweets?
Chocolate.
Sky or the earth?
Oh. The earth.
Sun or the moon?
Oh, that's tough. I'm going to have to go with the sun.
Water, fire?
Water.
Android, iPhone?
iPhone.
Okay. TV series or film?
A series.
Okay. Interesting. Lamb, chicken?
Lamb.
Okay, interesting. If you had a plane ticket that could take you anywhere in the world, where would you take that plane to?
Right now? Oh my gosh. I don't know. Somewhere tropic.
Somewhere tropic. Just anywhere tropic.
Anywhere tropic. Give me a beach and I'm A-okay. Anywhere tropic.
You could end up on some isolated island with a beach,
You know what? I would probably be okay with that because people would not be talking to me while I'm there.
Oh, you don't like people talking to you?
I do, but after you had a long day of people talking to you all day, having to answer questions and think through strategies and stuff, you're like, I just want it to be quiet. But I do need people there because I still need food, you know, maybe a drink to chill on the beach and play my music and read a book. And that's it. But somewhere tropic.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Final question. Cereal or milk in the bowl first?
Milk in the bowl first.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You can only
Somebody
pour
who
the cereal on
knows.
top and then eat from the top and then pour a little bit more. And then eat from the top. I do not like my cereal soggy.
This is a woman that's after my own heart. You see? A sensible person like that. Everyone else is saying put the cereal in first and not recognizing that they're drowning the cereal first.
No, you can't do that. And then
This is
and
why.
if it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, then you know you got the milk at the end.
Oh,
So you got the surprise at the end.
it's working. You see what I'm saying to you? Good minds, smart minds, wise minds think alike. I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay, you've passed our human verification. We know you are a full-on human being. You're not AI, you're not a robot, because no robot would have given us an answer of the milk first. So we appreciate you, Dr. Shawana. You've passed with flying colors. Okay.
Ooh.
Well, since we've got the little icebreaker out the way, you know, I have a question. It's quite broad, it's quite open, and you can take it any direction you want to take it to.
Okay.
So my question is, Dr. Shawana, who is that? And what is your story?
I am someone that is passionate about philanthropy. I work in nonprofit, so I absolutely enjoy it. I love strategy and strategic thinking. I am a person that loves hosting my friends and family. I am a self-proclaimed chef, so I'm always cooking something. And I'm just a person that likes to have fun. I like to sing. I can't sing, but I do like to sing. I like to dance, and I love Jackson State football, and I'm just me. I am a walking karaoke machine. So anything that people say, I typically have a song for it. And I love to laugh.
See, now you got me with a question. If you had to title your life with one song,
Oh my gosh.
I know I'm asking those questions. I know.
I don't know.
Mm.
You know what? This is my life.
Mm-hmm.
I am honestly not really sure. I'm not sure. The first thing that came to mind was Usher. You don't have to call, because that's how I feel. Like, you don't have to call. Just text me, please.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Call. And I'm also A-okay with people leaving my life and not coming back. So it's like, you don't have to call. He said,
Well, you don't have to call. We like that. We like that song. It's a great song. Now, you mentioned obviously you've been okay, people leaving your life. Why is that?
You know, I think people come into your life for seasons and for reasons. Now, sometimes you have lifetime people that are there, but I'm okay with it because it means that I've ended a chapter, that I'm making space for something new or someone new, and I have potentially learned a lesson, or I've blessed them in some way. They blessed me in some type of way, and it's time for us to blossom and grow and to go to the next phase of life. So I'm okay with it. You know, sometimes people like to hold on to people and hold on to things. I am okay with making space for what's next.
Where did that mindset come from? That particular mindset?
That's a great question. I can't really say where it came from, but you know, I do work in leadership, and so as a leader, that's something that I have to come to terms with too. Is, you know, you may have a wonderful employee that's great, but once they've reached their peak, and even as my own self as a professional, once you reach your peak, you may love where you are, but you may have outgrown that space. And it's like being a plant. You can only grow so far. Your roots can only go so far in the pot that you're in. And so you got to be replanted so that you can grow and so that you can help wherever you are. So
So you mentioned about being a leader. I like to lead, but not many, not maybe men. I like to. That sounds like a pause, but I don't like to lead people per se like that. I like to be a pacer. I do my own thing, and then other people kind of follow after that. You know, a bit of a freestyler, Samson style, right? Sounds like you're somebody who likes to lead people.
I like to lead strategy, and sometimes that means people come.
She took a breath.
I like to lead strategy, and sometimes people come with it. Oftentimes, people come with it. Being a leader comes with a lot of pressure. You know, people are looking at you. You're making a lot of decisions. You're making tough decisions. You have people's livelihoods in your hands. You are either the most loved or the most hated. It comes with a lot, and you got to have tough skin. And you know,
When's the first time you remember actually leading in any shape or form? When's the first time you can remember, like, oh yeah, I was leading?
the first time I can remember, I'm not sure of the first time I can remember leading. I can think of probably one of the first times that I felt like it was quite meaningful in leadership. When I was in college, they were, I guess, shopping around the idea of merging the HBCUs in Mississippi. And so I was on the forefront of leading a Stop the Merger initiative to preserve the history of our universities, our HBCUs there.
Oh, okay. So you revolutionist, because you're out here doing fight the power that be.
You know, you can call it that, bucking the system, whatever you want to call it at the time. I just knew we need to preserve the legacy because who are we going to play in football if they close out? If they close
Not you
out,
think about football.
who's going to be our rival at the time? You know, I needed that. We can't all be one.
I love that you had the football in the back of your mind as well in that space. You know, it's interesting because you said obviously about bucking at the system, right? Because you know that usually is people who have a rebel spirit. You know, that's I can see why we have milk in first. So that rebel spirit, sometimes we don't like to be, we don't like to be told what to do. We don't like to be controlled. We also like to, do something different than what the world says we can or can't do. Don't like boxes. Don't like being confined. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I guess. I guess so.
Which one? What part of it do you guess? Which part of it do you say, not necessarily me?
You know, it might all be me. I'm not sure I want to admit it. You're trying to make me walk into reality right now.
I just want to, I want to welcome my fellow rebel. You know what I mean? Because for me, like, okay, so whilst I'm on YouTube, right, I look at it as a space of doing something different to what people have already done, right? So, like, for instance, if I do interviews, I could go straight to the show. I could go straight to doing the tea and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't like that. That's not me, and I don't like being told I have to do that, right? And I know some people are like, oh, well, make it a half an hour interview, and then you just go straight to the tea. But I personally love people and love getting to know them, understanding them, right? And I don't like being told what to do. I don't like rules. I don't like. Sometimes I don't even like authority, if I'm honest with you as well.
But rules gives you a space of compliance and parameters to work within.
Okay.
And so, yeah. I think.
So are you saying that you follow rules?
I'm okay with being boxed into certain things in that space.
Oh.
I'm okay with that.
What are you not comfortable being boxed in with?
I need to have a space where I can truly explore. I need to be, I guess, I'm trying to figure out the word that I'm looking for right now. I don't know. I can't find it, but I like to be able to just not be stuck in a space where I have to. What is the word that I'm looking for? It is not coming to me right now. I don't know. I can't explain it right now. What I am saying though is I like to be able to. I don't know. I can't find the word I'm looking for. I wanna be able to have the space of creativity and not have to just do it strictly by the book. Like, give me the rules, give me the parameters of it, but allow me to have the creativeness of it, for a lack of a better term right now. And so if you say to color the box, I don't want you to tell me how it has to be colored. If I want to draw squares on it or circles or triangles and put pictures inside of it, then let that be okay. Don't make me have to make my box look the same way as someone else's box. And so just being able to have that space of creativity with it.
Okay, so you like a definition of rules, and then for you to be able to be free to be able to explore within the case of the rules.
Yes, absolutely. And then also let me test the rules too, like all the way to the edge of it. They go right to the edge of what it is. All the way to the edge of breaking it without breaking it.
No, you must break it.
No, you don't want to break it. You just want to get to the edge of it. You know, like kind of like I'm just gonna dip my toe into the pool. Yeah.
Now, why you want to just test the? Why you want to test the rules like that?
I mean, because I think you should always have a tester of your rules. You should always have a test of your rules just to see if they can withstand the structure that you put in place. Now, I don't want nobody testing the rules that I have in place, but it's okay.
Why not? Why can't they test those rules, Dr. Shawana? Huh?
Let me be the tester. You stay in line.
I hear that still. Okay, so I guess obviously within that space, then you like to test a bit of rules. You like to see if it stands up to what all it's cracked out to be in that particular space. Has that got you into any trouble in your life testing the rules?
I mean, growing up as a teenager, and you always do some stuff that gets you right there to the edge, and then you're over there trying to explain yourself to get out of it. So
I don't know about that life. What's that?
Oh, well, you haven't lived life then. I feel sorry for you. Yeah, you always do. I definitely wasn't a bad kid. I kind of was real structured, but I think now, and I can't even just say it's a rule thing. Sometimes when you're in spaces and people don't understand your strategy, your strategic mindset, and your why sometimes, and they may have this vision of the way something should be or needs to be, and I'm a person of saying, you know what, I'm going to stand 10 toes down on what I think and what I believe right now because I feel like this could work, and so I'm just going to try it. So I mean, I've done that in several spaces.
Now, you mentioned about being a teen. Now, as a teenager, me personally, I did break some rules. I remember one of my first ever girlfriends. I wasn't allowed out late past the not the old 9 p.m. That rule got broken into. Yep.
That's an easy break rule, like staying out past your curfew. I was doing stuff like me and my friends. We borrowed the car to go to a party around the corner, but we were in a whole 5 cities away. Things like that.
That's not you coloring within the lines. And let's see, you were breaking laws.
That's different. A party. I said a party. We're going to a party. Just because the other party was on the same night, if she made that assumption and didn't ask, then okay, mama, I'm going to the party. Now she had an ex. That's a different story. But she didn't ask. She just said okay to the party. I didn't say what party. I said a party. Just wasn't that party.
Was there a lot of rules growing up then for you?
I don't think, I didn't have a lot of rules because I wasn't a bad kid growing up. So they didn't have to put me in a structure of rules. Like they had me in programs. So I was in certain after school care programs, summer programs, spring break programs. I did all those things. I danced in middle school. I played in the band. So it was a lot of structure in those spaces where it wasn't a lot of room for me needing some rules.
Okay.
I was just kind of easygoing.
You sound like a decent child.
I was okay. I think my family would say I was okay. I was a good kid. It's the
How would they
adult
describe
me
you in one word?
They're concerned about the adult me. It's not the child.
What changed?
What changed? I don't know. I think you live life. You live life. You start exploring. You live life. Like my mama say, like you live life on the edge sometimes. Like you don't care. You'll go. You'll travel abroad by yourself. You don't care if anybody goes with you or not. You'll eat alone. You're not in the space that you're gonna box yourself in waiting for someone else.
See, now you got me really intrigued because see, I like to eat alone. I like to go to the shops by myself. I can do a lot of things by myself. I'm a good solo warrior. But I'm also very much aware that solo warriors usually hyper independent, dependent on themselves.
Very.
They they get the job done. They solve problems. You know what I mean? They are usually the people that that others turn to for strength, for courage, for encouragement, to hide secrets with. But I also know that's also a very lonely place to be sometimes. Not always, sometimes. Because, the reason why you are, from my perspective, a solo warrior is because some of the things that you experienced growing up in terms of the way that your emotional needs were not necessarily always met. But that's me just putting a very large psychological jargon on it. What was your experiences growing up, Dr. Shauna? How were you growing up? What was life like for you?
Life was cool. I was raised as an only child, so that's a piece of mine too. I have an older brother, but I was raised by my paternal grandmother, and I was raised as an only child, and she was an only child, so kind of taught me how to be an only child. I had friends, like I still have a lot of friends. But I was used to being by myself. So I learned to be okay with myself. And I tell people all the time, in order for you to solo travel, you have to love yourself in a different space. And you have to be okay with being alone with you. And a lot of people can't be alone with themselves. And I'm okay with it. I like the being able to ground myself, hear myself think, be silent. Like you said, oftentimes we're the people that people come and bring their challenges to, and we're helping them solve them. And sometimes it's a dump on us, and we don't necessarily have a release space because people see you as a strong friend too. Like when you're able to be that type of independent and can stand alone by yourself, like you said, it's hyper independence. Then people see you as your strong friend, so I don't have to really check on you, but I need you to check on me though. So yeah.
I never grew up as an only child, so that's quite a unique experience. I'm a firstborn, so I can understand some of aspects, but I'm not an only child. So what was that like growing up as the only child? What were some of the good and some of the bad of growing up as the only child in that household?
I can't necessarily say what a bad was because it didn't feel bad to me. and I had a brother. He just didn't live with me. So, you know, I would
Okay.
see him every couple of weeks or, you know, once a month or something like that. But the good of it was I got all the attention.
Mm,
Like
that's
if I
right.
need attention or if I wanted attention, I did get attention. But it's also I didn't. Well, I guess it could. I can't say it's the bad. The caveat to it is I had no one there for shock absorption. So
Mm,
if my grades dropped low, it couldn't still be, but it's still better than theirs. You know, I didn't get those type of spaces, and um in those spaces, you know, I was my grandmother's little broke bestie, and I was my aunt's little broke bestie, you know, so I got a chance to go places, explore things. I, you know, it was a pretty great experience for me being the only child. Now, do I wish I had a sister? Yes, because who doesn't want a big sister? Like, I wish
mm,
I had a big sister, but I like my brother. We like each other.
mm. You grew up with your paternal grandmother.
Yes.
How come? How come? If you don't mind me ask, if you don't mind me asking.
Oh, sure. Why not? So my mom lived in a smaller town outside of Jackson, Mississippi, which was Canton, Mississippi. And I was in school there with her. And in kindergarten, I had finished the kindergarten, the first grade, and was in the second grade work. And they wanted to skip me. And she said
Mm,
no for, you know, the sake of a maturity level and going from kindergarten to second grade. And so my aunt at the time, my dad's sister, was an educator in Jackson in a different school district and at a school that she felt could give me, um, you know, that space of growth. But my mom said, okay. And I went down to live with them, and the rigor was much different in that school district. And I just stayed there and stayed with my grandmother. So I would see my mom on the weekends, and some during the summertime and things like that. So it was nothing major. It was about education in school, and that's it, really.
mm. And I always, well, my audience now knows a lot about myself in terms of my relationship with mum. My mum was diagnosed with schizophrenia, 2001. So that hit hard in terms of the relationship we had to start building, which is very different. And I talked about how hard it is to connect at certain points because of the schizophrenia, right?
Mhm.
Um, One word to describe your relationship with your mum growing up.
Growing up, it was probably a distant relationship.
Mm.
Um, yeah, you said one word, distant.
Well, you can expand. Why distant?
Of course you want it. Um, Honestly, my mother and I just started building a relationship. It's probably been like maybe 5, 6 years ago that we started building a true relationship where we
Mm,
talk several times a week, sometimes all day long. We'll stay on the phone. And she travels with me for my birthday and things now. But it was different because I was raised by my grandmother. And so I
mm,
was with her all the time. I was with my aunt all the time. And so those were the two women that, you know, I kind of took after, I looked up to as, I guess, role models. And so seeing my mom only on the weekends, like sometimes, or during the summertime for, you know, a couple of days or whatever, it was distant. And it wasn't like we talked on the phone every day or anything like that. I knew she loved me. I knew where she was. I knew I could call. I knew I could go. But it was a different lived experience of being raised by my grandmother. You know, I was technically only child, only grandchild for my dad, only child, only grandchild, only niece for my uncle and my aunt. I mean, you know, on my mom's side of the family, I was a niece out of a bunch of nieces and nephews. So, you know,
mm. Yeah, it's not easy. I think it's not easy. Like obviously, like everyone expects everybody to have, or we kind of we speak about relationships with mum in the sense of like, um, that is the most closest, meant to be the most closest, meant to be the most loving relationship, because mother carries you for 9 months and stuff like that. And I think people don't realize how many people can feel displaced when relationship dynamics aren't your traditional set. You know what I mean? Like and it's not the natural order of things, right? In that space as well. So, because I know for me, obviously, my mom was schizophrenia around about 12 years old, and I always tell people that that changed my life. The way that I saw the world. I was like, well, there's nothing I can do about it to save her. There's no point even crying about it, bro. You know what I mean? Like, what can you do? I think from that day, I did become a little bit harder, a little bit more sterner, and a little bit more like, well, life's got to go on in that particular space as well. How has growing up with grandma rather than mum impacted you in your adulthood, do you feel?
So it's interesting because almost where my grandmother left off, my mother picked up. So my grandmother passed in 2012. And so it's like where she picked up. I've never been in a space where I wasn't connected to my mom. We didn't talk. We weren't around each other. That's not the case. I talked to her, I got to see her whenever I wanted to go see her. She came to my games when I danced, when I cheered. She would come to some of the games. She was at, school events. Like, she didn't miss things like that. It's just I didn't live with her. And we didn't talk on a daily basis. But how it impacted my adult life, being raised by a grandparent is different. And I have friends that were raised by their grandparents, and I can tell the difference between us versus my friends that were raised by their parents. Because being raised by a grandparent, you have some traditional, especially a real grandmama. You have some traditional values that are instilled in you. And like to this day, it's certain things that I'm like, whoo, my grandma would turn over in her grave if I did that. Just thinking about different things. And she taught me a lot. Like, she taught me how to weather storms. She taught me the value of $1. She taught me the value of myself as an individual and as a woman. She taught me the value of friendships, the value of education, of working hard. And as I think about it as an adult now, I didn't realize it maybe until probably 3 years ago. My grandmother, she worked for the Department of Recreation and Human Services. And what she did there, working with kids, summer camps, community involvement and engagement, that's my life now. And I did not realize that this is something that she instilled in me, and I watched her do, and I did it with her as a child. And now it's what I do as an adult, the exact same things. And so, and then the flip side of having my mom, how most people, when they grew with their mom nowadays, like, I'm not one of your little friends. Well, I'm one of her little friends. So we talk, and I'm able to share things with her, and I'm able to because she didn't raise me as like growing up raising me, I am more open with her like I would be with a friend. So I don't feel like I got to hide anything from her. So when certain things happen, I'm like, I need to call my mama. And I call her and I'm like, girl, let me tell you what happened. And I can say the most off the wall stuff. And sometimes she's like, okay, now you go a little too far. But other times she's like, now what? And we'll talk about it, and she's laughing about it, or she'll be like, now, I'm in the office and I can't talk about this right now. Give me a second. And then she'll go get in the car and call me back. And I'm like, oh, you're so nosy and messy. You just want to hear what I had to say, huh? So we talk like that. And so it was a transition. Where my grandmother left off, my mother picked up. And so while I lost my grandmother in 2012, and it was devastating, I still have my mother that's here. And while we are still nurturing and building that relationship and still really truly learning one another, it's still a beautiful thing.
You seem quite upbeat about it in that scenario. What's it like having to then learn how to, I guess, I don't know if say get close to mom, but what's it like learning and growing with mum in this scenario? Because of course it's slightly different, right? Like for some people, it's like they had mum all the time. You had grandma most of the time. Now you've got mum, so it's like you're now learning that space. What's that like? Because you're now an adult, so it's like it's a bit different space. You know what I mean?
You know, it's a very interesting space to be in general, because even though my paternal grandmother raised me, I wasn't even as close with my father. So it's just really interesting, like trying to manage the relationships in general. And I say to people that I'm talking to, and you know, they have these strong relationships with both of their parents, and I'm like, you don't understand what it's like to, in some cases, not have those same feelings that you would have towards like whatever's happening in spaces. And so it has caused me, as you say, to be hyper independent. I lost my grandmother in 2012. So in my mind, it was like, I'm all I got. Like, I got to figure this out now, because who I would typically say, I'm going to call my grandma. Like, I don't get to say I'm going to call my grandma because I can't call her. But, you know, it's different. It's different because you're learning people as adults too. And you're looking at them, and sometimes you're like, well, you should know this, or you should have the answer to this, or you shouldn't respond in certain ways. And then I have to look at my mom and my dad and say, they're both just a woman and a man trying to figure this thing called life out too. So I can't penalize them for what they didn't do or where they weren't. I can only celebrate the fact that they were bold enough and vulnerable enough to allow my grandmother, who had done this, she'd done it one time, you know, she managed to not completely jack up some kids. So they let her raise me and do this again. And so I give them grace. Like, I probably give my mom more grace than I give my dad. As a matter of fact, I know I do. But I give them grace. I give them grace because they're learning me too. So, you know, they're learning their kid like I'm learning them.
What makes you give mum more grace than dad?
And I plead the fifth on it. You know what? I don't. And here's why. I just feel like as a girl dad, and this is me being biased, I'm a pretty dope daughter to have. I feel like if you missed out on certain things in my life for whatever choices that you decided to make, then, you know, and it's not fair that I give one more grace than the other. It's not. I'm not going to say that.
That's how you feel.
But I know I can see that I give my mom more grace than my dad in some spaces. But I also see where my mom has put in more effort to build the relationship than what my dad has. So that's probably why she gets more grace. Now, if she was here right now, she'd say that's not true. She'd say you give your daddy more grace than, but
that ain't it.
He'd say the opposite. He would say the opposite. He would say, she's always like, you always like your daddy, your daddy, your daddy, your daddy. And I'm like, because every girl wants to be a daddy's girl, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
And sometimes I feel like a twofold. I think I saw it on Instagram. It was like, I mean, where it said, you know, sure, I'm getting the payback for all those nice young ladies that my dad did wrong. So maybe that's what's happening in my life. So,
not the old karma.
Right. And then also the space of I'm navigating the world with dating and relationships and things, and I'm having to navigate that world with my male friends and my cousins and people upset, like, hey, help me to kind of figure this out, when there's something that I should be able to be calling on my dad about. Now I can say he did play some wonderful roles, and he played a wonderful role in my life. Like, financially, he was there. I can never take that from him. I did not need or want or desire for anything, but I don't think, and I'm not going to say I don't think, sometimes it's overlooked that finances is not what love looks
Yeah.
like. And it's not
Yeah.
what that nurturing a relationship looks like. But I did not miss out on anything. My daddy was the GOAT in it. I will say that. He my first car. My daddy was the GOAT in it. You know, he taught me how to drive. My daddy did that. So, you know, it's in those spaces. But as I transitioned into adulthood, it dropped off. And that's when I needed it.
That's quite interesting. So as an adult, you needed it more than when you were younger. Why'd you say that?
Because you're truly exploring life and who you are as an individual and really coming into adulthood. As a kid, it's the nurturing pieces and it's the knowing that you're loved. Like, I literally was in Houston, Texas, maybe like 2 months ago, and I was with friends walking down the street and we were talking about something, and it came up like, oh, I can tell y'all got daddies in y'all life, or y'all grew up with a daddy. And it's like, I did grow up with a father that was around and that was in my life. So I'm not in a space where I'm seeking that type of love from someone, you know, that I didn't get, because I know that I had a dad that he provided. He showed up when it mattered. He did those things. But when you're coming into adulthood, that's when the rubber meets the road. Like,
Yeah.
you're really having life experiences that male's perspective can make or break you and where you are. And so, you know.
No, I mean, I totally get that, you know, and I think what you shared, you know, it's intriguing. So, like, when I'm coaching clients, I talk to them about emotions and sharing more of their emotions, right? And how they tell stories, as in how they tell their past as well. Because I know that with my dad, one thing that I really wanted was actually just more presence than anything. You know, was to him to be more present. Maybe come to some of those football games that I went to. You know, maybe come to some of the school plays, and just to be able to hear, you know, hey, I'm proud. You know, keep going, son. I love what you're doing, or whatever. And that, you know, the other day I was telling one of my guy friends, and it was very emotional. I can't lie to you. I was telling the story and I started tearing up. And I was like, bro, why am I tearing up? I said, oh, well, I'm tearing up because the little me is recognizing that was a very sad moment, because why didn't I have that? You know what I mean? And that's what's contributed towards my more, I'll do it all bad. I'll do it by myself. Good, bad, ugly. I'll do it by myself. You know what I mean? Like, I need to be able to stand on my own 2 feet because no one else will be doing that for me. You know what I mean? And so for me, it was that aspect of wanting that emotional presence, wanting those words of affirmation, wanting more of my father to be able to be like, to be able to be close. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe you call your parents every day. I don't do that stuff. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, it's not me. I don't be calling them every day. You know. So yeah, so when you're saying about, you know, your dad not necessarily being in the way that you wanted him to be at the time, but you're an adult, I understand. You know.
I mean, as a kid too, though. He had a girlfriend that he dated for years, and she had a daughter. And I can remember probably 2 birthdays ago, I was talking to my dad, because his birthday is a couple of days before mine, and she had reached out to me on Instagram and like responded to something and was like, "Oh my gosh, you are definitely your daddy's child, and he does the same thing, or he did da 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 da." And so as I was talking to him, I was like, you know, not even trying to be funny, but this person knows things about you, and that's because she was around you more than I was with her mom, but she knows things about my own dad that I can't say and that I don't know. And she has stories and a relationship with you that I don't have. And so, you know, sometimes that, and it may be an unhealed space for me. You know, I'm in therapy. I got to work through it. It's an unhealed space for me, as that, like you said, that little girl that did not get that experience like that with my father. And so, you know, this was just 2 years ago. I don't even know if it's full 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, where I was talking to him and I was like, so what's my favorite color? And started naming all these colors. And I was like, none of that is right. He's like, well, you know, it don't really matter because those are the best colors in the crayon box. And I'm like, you're a girl, dad, and your first choices weren't even pink and purple. Like that's just natural. But
Mm.
one of them are my favorite colors. It really don't matter. But you know, you didn't, you didn't even name those. And so we talked about that and like a couple of other things. And I started asking certain questions, and you know, it went down to a whole different type of conversation. But it was kind of like at what point do you sit and say, I need to get to know my child?
Mm. Mm.
And especially who I am now, because even if you knew the kid me, I'm a totally different person than what I was then. But again, I do give him grace. There's some other things that are happening in that dynamic that, you know, he's dealing with on his own, and I give him grace, and I still love him, and I always will. And I'm a ride. We riding at dawn for my daddy and my mama too.
Definitely. Hey, both of them. I hear it. You know what I mean?
I
And
ride at dawn for him. I ride at dawn with her, cause she gonna.
I love the differentiation you just put in there. But you said, "Listen, I will ride at dawn with, but I ride for at the time." I hear you. I hear you. Okay, I'm with it. You know, it's really powerful. I think you. I keep saying that. Now you got me saying. I think. What's really powerful is that I can see why people talk to you.
Oh.
Like when I'm interviewing people, I kind of watch their body language. So when you're listening, I think the most powerful thing that you do is your stillness. You don't move, you don't fidget, you don't move. You're just there. Your eyes are trained and you're very still. And that is so powerful for a lot of people because it's like you're involved. Now your mind might be elsewhere. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? You might be thinking about how to solve next week's equations, right? But that alone is such a powerful gift. Stillness. Like you're never in a rush to jump back into the conversation. And I think that is powerful because when people are talking to you, I can see why, because they're gonna keep talking because you're not quick to be like, you know what I mean? You'll wait, you'll let it land, you let the person speak, and then when they finally get to that place, then you're then interjecting in that space, and I think that's such a powerful thing. Now, I'm wondering why that is that way. Maybe that's something you observed, or that's just something that's just you. You know what I mean? But there's a beautiful stillness that you carry.
I try to listen for understanding and not to respond.
Mm.
Because if you're listening to respond, then you're not even hearing the other person. And I like dialogue. Now I can't say I'm like that in every space because, you know, sometimes people are talking to me and I may ask a question and they're going down a rabbit hole and I'm like, hey, I don't need all of that. Just answer the question. Especially with some work stuff. Like when I'm like, hey, I'm just trying to figure this piece out right here. I don't need all of that. I know the backstory. I just need this answer right here. Because, you know, sometimes people get long-winded and they keep going.
I hear you.
Going and going. And you just like, I don't need all of that.
We call that
boundaries. But in
That's
truly meaningful dialogue, I consider this.
Mm. Is that what you needed as a youngster? Dialogue, interaction.
I'm gonna be honest, as a youngster, I didn't want to do nothing but take a nap. I didn't want people talking to me.
What is it? What is that? Nobody talking to you. Why is that?
Because if you're listening to people all day and you're talking all day long and you're thinking all day long, you don't want to think. You don't want to listen. You don't want to, or you don't want to talk about anything that's, you know, that's worth talking about. Like you just kind of want to shoot the breeze. Like if I'm, the only time I want people talking to me post a long day is if we are laughing about something and it has nothing to do with nothing. I don't want to have to think after a certain period of time. Like, I mean, I do want to use my brain, but I don't want to have to do any type of true strategic thinking and understanding certain things because I'm on at all times trying to, you know, always figuring stuff out, always answering a question, always being needed in a space. So sometimes you just want to be.
Just want to be real. So talk to me about dating, because, someone might say, a beautiful lady like you, pretty smart, listens well, you know what I mean? Got bags of charisma when it's needed, Someone might ask, what? Dr. Shawana, how come?
I'm overqualified.
So hey, the job is. Tell me about these overqualifications.
It's interesting though. I was actually talking to my therapist the other day. It's a guy. He's a man. I like having a male therapist.
I hear it.
I love it. So we were talking, and he was like, "Sure, you get approached a lot," and I was like, "Sure, I don't." And it's interesting because people just really think that, if they consider you attractive, because there's somebody out there that don't think I'm attractive. So let me be very clear about that. I don't want people coming and talking about, you're not pretty, whatever, you're not either. But, and if you are, then, blah, 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 whoop-de-doo. So it's, I don't know, like dating is interesting. You meet people and you're trying to get to know someone. It's like a popcorn and microwave society right now, where everybody wants stuff to happen so fast. They don't truly want to get to know someone. You jump into something and you get in it so fast and you realize this person isn't who I thought they were. Don't really know the people overall, or they're not truly looking for the same things that you're looking for, you're searching for. And so that has been a big thing. Like, a lot of guys that I run into, they want you in a rotation of another 10 women. And it's like, I'm not interested in that. Thank you. Next. I'm not interested in that.
So as they say, that the pool has got pee in it, as they say.
I'm not gonna say that the pool has pee in it. I'm gonna say that the pool is filled with couples. Because it's a lot of people that are actually coupled up. And then the pool is filled with married people that shouldn't be in the pool. Because there's that. And then the pool is filled with people who are unsure about if they're truly ready for a commitment, but they want to test the waters. The pool is filled with people with unrealistic expectations. And the pool is filled with people who are truly genuinely seeking something, and it's hard to see when the pool is packed. And so you're having to go, you're wading through the water trying to figure out what's something worth you catching. And then you may catch something, and it may be wonderful, but it may not be your fish.
I like that analogy. So the pool is full. It's hard to see.
Can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. Now that don't mean nobody didn't, urinate in the pool, but it's chlorine and stuff, and it can clean it out.
I'm hearing you. So what has been your okay? Let me ask a question. What has been your most impactful relationship?
The most impactful relationship. My most impactful relationship was probably a relationship that I had in college. And the person that I was dating, we had this thing where we sought to outlove one another. And in that space, if I was always making sure he was good and he was always making sure that I was good, then we were always good. That was probably one of the most impactful. And also because I didn't grow up in a 2-parent household where I got to see a marriage and got to see those things, but I got to see it with his family. And I got to truly get to know his mom, his dad, his siblings, and I got to see a different type of family dynamic. And I was, immersed into that. And so it was impactful because it showed me the dynamics of a husband and a wife, the ups and downs of it. And his mom was transparent about a lot of stuff. And so she would be like, look, this the kind of stuff that happens, and this what goes on, and this my man, and I'm sticking beside him. And I got to see that. I got to see them be parents. I got to watch them, parent. I got to watch them do family time and be a part of it. And so it was probably one of the most impactful relationships that I ever had.
So what did you feel like you learned about? It's interesting because obviously seeing a 2-parent household that in that dynamic from a partner rather than your own house. What did you learn about men? Because you've seen your father, you've seen his daddy, you've seen him, the man that you were dating. What were you learn? What was your thought process about men at that point in time then?
Immediately that the man in your household or the man that you're attached yourself with needs to be someone that you're okay with following and you're okay being submissive to. I have to make sure I say this. His parents were pastors. And so I saw love from a different perspective. It was an unconditional type of love. I saw love in every form that you can see it. And they would pour into us from a biblical stance, and then they would pour into us from a worldly stance. Like they would give us all sides of everything. Even through our actual breakup, his mom flat out said to me, I know my kind, I know my kind. You are my kind. That knucklehead son of mine is gonna regret this. She said that, and I hope he don't watch this or he don't see it. But she said that to me, and she said, you're gonna do great things, you're gonna do wonderful things, you're a wonderful woman, but you don't have to put up with that mess. As a mother and as a woman, I'm gonna tell you not to put up with that mess. And so I got to see love from a different perspective. And then as far as what I learned about men, they are naturally programmed to be providers and protectors. It just has to be for who they want to be. Those things with. And there's nothing that you can do to force a man to be what you need him to be. He has to grow into that. He has to want that. And he has to want you. And people said, I guess cliche, if he wanted to, he would. But that is the truest statement ever. If he wanted to, he would. And the same thing for a woman. If she wanted to, she would. Any woman that does not see a man as a leader and allow him to step out and lead, she don't want him. He's not for her. He's not for her.
That's a cold-hearted truth, but I can rock with it, I can rock with it. So you're saying for the ladies, anybody they don't want to necessarily follow, that's not necessarily the one for them. That's just somebody filling that role.
Think about it.
I'm thinking now.
Think about it. So follow me. In the words of my line.
I'm following you.
So think about how differently men show up with different women that they date. I've dated someone before, and the young lady before me that they dated said, well, he did this and he did that and da da da. And I'm looking at her like, I've never experienced that with him, so I don't know who that man is you're talking about. Because he didn't treat me like that. He treated me in a different way because he valued me in a different way. And it's the same thing with women. You treat men in different ways. Like, it's some men that I've dated that I wouldn't even speak life into them. I didn't care to try to help you to understand what you did wrong or to understand my thought process and thinking. But if I value you as a person and I feel like you're somebody that I could attach my life to, I can allow to lead me, then I think it's important for you to know what my thought process was behind something or how you made me feel in a moment or what that looks like. And if otherwise, I'm gonna let you be. And I'm gonna let you keep stacking up and doing certain things because I know at some point I'm gonna be done with this, just not today. But I know it's coming. I've already made a decision about it.
Wow.
And people show up differently. You show up differently depending on the value that you place on that particular person. You can watch a man cheat on a woman and take her, what's the song say? Take me through there, take me through, but not in the same way. But you can watch him take her down through there. And a woman can come a month later, and everything that this lady over here has been begging him for, and the man that she's been begging him to be, that woman gets it out of the gate. She don't even have to ask.
I love the way you put it. It's interesting. I knew it, but it's the way you framed it that I like. That you framed it that man must value that woman, and so you took it away from if you just did something. It's not about that. It's about how he values that particular person. So if he values you, then fantastic. If he doesn't, then you gotta go your way, right? And I think that's such a powerful way of looking at it. It's a truth I already knew, but it's a truth that when you spun it that way, it made even more sense. I'll put that in a memory bank. So that particular relation was impactful. I was in college, everything like that as well. Was there any other relationships that you were in that you was like, okay, well, this is neat. I enjoyed myself. I learned. I did it. Do you know what I mean? It impacted me. You just smiled just now, so it just tells me something I don't know. Your brain was thinking about something.
I was waiting on you to finish the question because I'm like, where is he about to go with this? You already told me you was about to get in my business, so I'm about to go with this.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. Okay, so obviously after that gentleman, what was another impactful relationship after that? Was there any other relationships that were like, that spoke to you,
Yes. I took a long pause because I was trying to decide how I wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
And mainly because I respect the man as a person and who he is. So that's why I'm like, but yes, I had a relationship where I compromised on a lot of things. And especially to make sure that that man was happy. I am I want to show up for my partner in ways that they need type person, that I've had probably a relationship and then we were exclusively dating situation post that one a couple of years that were impactful to shape how I date and how I deal with people now. Like I said, one of them, I compromise on a lot of things. I typically wouldn't date people that had kids. I was like, I don't want to date anybody have kids. I didn't just go that far, but the baby was on the way. So it hadn't even gotten here yet. And I stayed in that situation.
You must have been fine.
He was a great man, a great person. And so that can differentiate in a lot of different spaces. Like, it makes a world of a difference. And we had mutuals in common. So it wasn't like somebody random that I was meeting off the street. So I knew who the person was. But I compromised a lot. Like it was all about him and not a lot about me. And so I found myself in spaces where I was catering to all of his needs, even if mine weren't being met. And so that was impactful for me, because once I stepped away from that relationship, even though we're still friends, because he had a kid and I was in that kid's life, and that was my baby for a long time. And so I love that kid. But on the flip side of it, like, we were great business partners and like all the great things together. But on the flip side of it, it made me step back and say that yes, you can compromise in relationships, but you both have to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be beneficial for you across the board. You cannot lose yourself in a relationship while that person is able to remain themselves and to remain, whole, while you are broken into like pieces in certain spaces. And not even saying that he did the breaking, because he did. I did that. I made the choice. And so that is impactful, because I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, you chose this and you put yourself on the back burner. You did these things. He didn't ask you to do that. He didn't stop me. He didn't ask me to do that. And so he didn't. But like I said, he was a great person. Like, I would never take that from him. I don't have anything bad to say about him. How he ended wasn't necessarily the greatest thing. Like, he could have played that a whole lot differently, but we good. Well, I should say we ain't good, but we still good. So that one, and then it was one where I dated somebody for a couple of months, and that was impactful because it was almost like a whirlwind romance. He was all the things that I could have ever thought I wanted and dreamed, like in a package. I could go down the list and check off a lot of things. There were a couple of things that I could not check off, but I could check off a lot of things. And I put a lot into that to say, like, what I wanted it to be and how he presented it and how it was good and all the great things that was happening in that space. But I can't say I missed any red flags, because I'm still looking for them. I didn't see them. Maybe I turned them pink and I thought it was a circus. I'm not sure. But when it ended so abruptly, and then he ended up in a whole different like relationship, like less than a month later, and all this stuff played out so fast in front of me, and I watched all of this playing out, like, on social media, like, this is what this was, and you said one thing and then it was something completely different, and like nothing had happened. I was kind of thrown off by it. And so what it did for me there was it made me protect my heart more. Like, you have to do the work to deserve to hold a space in my heart. Like, you have to earn your spot in my life. And I'm not saying you got to come beating down walls and things, but I can't just be that open with saying, like, hey, I feel like this is good. I feel like this is great. So we're just going to go with it off the whim. So I don't know. Those were both impactful. And, I wish them both the best. He's married now and hopefully living a wonderful life and doing all the great things. But I cannot say that I was not impacted by that situation, because I was.
Are you saying that you're unlucky in love?
You said, am I saying what?
You're unlucky in love?
I think I was very lucky in love. I think every relationship that you're in grows you for what that ultimate one is. Because I had things to learn in each one of those relationships to make me as whole of a woman that I am now, and as healed of a woman that I am now. My emotional maturity is off the charts now. Like, I can come, y'all saw it on King Square. I can come and have a tough conversation with people now, and it's like, let's talk it up, let's talk about it. And I'm not an arguer. I don't want to yell, I don't want to scream. If you need some space and some time, okay, take it, but you don't need 12 hours and 24 hours to think about whatever it is that we had going on. Let's talk about it, let's be adults about it. No, I definitely don't feel like I'm unlucky in love. I feel like I'm probably one of the luckiest women on this earth in love, because I have dated some truly great men, and I don't have major trauma from my relationships. I was able to walk away from all of them and see the good, the bad, the ugly, and can still run into any of them and laugh about it. And we can talk about whatever, and we can still be cool. Like my college sweetheart, we kicked it together every homecoming with his wife. So, you know.
I don't even want to even ask. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to ask. I don't want to know.
They have mutual
That's
friends.
Wild.
So homecoming.
Oh, okay.
Together, and I think she's an amazing woman. And I told him, like, I think you chose great. She's an amazing woman. I like her. I'm healed. I ain't bitter. Because you weren't my person. Because if you were my person, we would be together.
It's mighty fine of you, but I can't do it.
Nothing that belongs to me will pass me by.
I don't know about it, but I hear what you're saying. What took you on to King's Court?
That sound like you done fumbled a couple of times, and you like, I had something to pass me by.
I ain't never fumbled a girl yet. You know what I mean? And they never fumbled me either.
Like, I don't know about that. It sounds like you done fumbled. It's okay. We'll talk about it.
I ain't never fumbled nobody, and they ain't fumbled me either. I was trash. So I wasn't trash, but I wasn't the best I could have been. If I'm honest.
See? So that's what I'm saying. And even if you were the best that you still weren't for them. You still weren't their person.
That's fair. Some people do fumble though.
If you were, then you know Nelly and Ashanti, they did a spin the block. You can spin the block at some point.
Some people can spin the block. I ain't gonna lie to you. Some people can. I think of one person. So what took you onto King's Court?
Okay.
Just in case they're watching, you can't say too much. Just in case they're watching.
I need to interview you now. Let's talk.
You know, they might be watching, so you know, I don't want to give them too much ammunition. You know,
right? I'm trying to get her the ammunition to spin the block. Do we have a love connection here? Do I need to pop the balloon? Okay, so
you need to pray for them.
Right, seriously. So King's Court, it was actually kind of a joke at first. Like I was in Cabo with my cousin. We were by the pool. We were laughing and talking. I put my book down. I picked the phone up, and it was on my Instagram timeline. And I was like, "Well, I ain't got a man in real life. I should do this." And he said, "You should. You should try it." And I was like, and I kind of put the phone down. He was like, "No, really. I think you should. Like, why not? Try it." And I made it back home, like, you know, a couple days later, and it still was like 2 or 3 nights later, because in my mind it was like, I'm gonna be on Love Is Blind one day, not on like a King's Court. Of course, we didn't know the name of the show at the time, but I was like, I want to do Love Is Blind, not this. So I started filling out the Love Is Blind application at night, and I got so tired on like the last question that I went to sleep. And when I woke up, my whole computer had shut down. So I was like, well, wasn't meant for me to do that. But I forgot I had sent the link to King's Court to my phone. And as I was applying for jobs, I clicked on that link. And when I clicked on that link, it popped open again. And I was like, this might be meant for me to do it. Let me see how long this application is. So when I submitted for that application, I had just answered some of those questions the night before on the Love Is Blind application. So I kind of already knew them off the top of my head. And I submitted the application, and the rest is history. Like I went through the entire interviewing process, and I was selected to be one of 21. And I think they said they probably had like over 10,000 applicants.
So you was one of them. That's a slim chance, and you managed to get it. That's impressive. So for you, it was more of a spur of the moment situation, and then it was like, well, why not? See what's going on. Nothing. It's like a crazy moment.
It was a crazy moment. I didn't expect to get a call. I got the call 2 days later, and then the interview process started then, and then I got, moved on to the next round, and I was like, oh, this is serious. I'm still going. And then by the time I made it to the final round, I was like, oh, this is serious. Like, they are really still talking to me. And then when I got the call that I had been casted, I was really thrown off. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never done nothing like this before. What are people going to think of me? Are they gonna be like, oh my gosh, she can't find love in real life, so she got to go on TV? Like, you start thinking about. I'm like, what will my people in my hometown say about me? Like, I was thinking all of these things, and I was like, I'm not doing this. And then I was like, girl, you crazy. 1 to 21, you got to do it. You made it this far, so
Come on. Okay. I mean, listen, I hear it because and a lot of times I think people who apply to shows don't think they're gonna get it, and they just keep going and going and going, and before they know it, they're at the end, So I totally understand that. Okay, so being on obviously King's Court, I know you don't get to see the people or know who the people are until you get on the show. So you get on the show, you see these 3 lovely men. Okay, now barring Tyson Beckford because he doesn't count. Okay, because Tyson Beckford was everybody's type. Now, why you gotta look away? So he a type too?
It's the fact that you said he don't count.
Because he's everybody's type. Like every lady that comes, like, yeah, it's Tyson Beckford. That's a ladies' man. For you, obviously, you was Thaddeus your immediate first kind of beeline, or was it Tyson, or was it even Carlos kind of your beeline?
Honestly, when they came down, I was sitting there looking at them. If I got to be honest with you, I was trying to remember everybody's name. I was like, okay, his name is Thaddeus. His name is just because I knew we were gonna have to go to a mixer next. And so in my mind, I was like, I don't want to say the wrong name or not know who each person was. I was familiar with Thaddeus, but of course I knew him as Titus. So like hearing Thaddeus was like, okay, I gotta call him Thaddeus. And then Carlos, I did not know who Carlos was at all. I absolutely knew who Tyson was, of course. Growing up as Tyson Beckford. So like it wasn't a beeline to anyone. It was kind of it was a dating show. So the idea was to date around, date all of them and see where there was chemistry. I didn't have a full like initial like who is it gonna be type thing. I think my first deep conversation was with Carlos, and then it was with Thaddeus. And so Thaddeus asked me on a date. So it was like, well, this is who I'm about to go and get to know first. So let me truly get to know him first.
How did you know Titus? Are you a big wrestling fan yourself, or cause I know you're into football?
I said it on the show like I was a wrestling fan too. But I knew of him. I knew of his name and things, and philanthropy and all the great things he did. Plus the organization that I work for, he is one of our national recognized alumni as well. So I knew him from different spaces like that.
Okay, so you already had an idea. So first kind of encounter with Titus, Thaddeus. They call him the Chocolate Thanos. Okay?
Yeah, I knew his name. I didn't know him. So it still was a moment of getting to know who he was.
Was he immediate type?
You said, was he my immediate type? Was that your question? Oh, okay. I was attracted immediately to his personality. Immediately. Y'all didn't get to see everything. And so we actually people got to see the little scene where I walk over and I'm like, okay, now, I want my time with you. But we had like an interesting interaction right before that, where the ladies that he was sitting there talking to, he was grabbing them at the same time, was like, okay, I guess I can take you on now too. And I was like, you're not gonna take me on nowhere, not with no other women. And so he's like, well, I guess we won't talk then. I said, well, I guess not. And so I walked off. And after the moment of sitting and talking to Tyson, I was like, hey, I didn't talk to both of these guys. I really should go over here and talk to him. Because he probably is like, oh, she rude. And so when I walked over there, that's how the whole scene took place. So it was really funny. So it was like immediately, because once you go upstairs and talking, naturally everybody's gonna look at Tyson. And I was just like, okay, every woman's flocking to him. And what my attraction to Thaddeus was initially was when they did the opening scene, they came out and started talking, he immediately started talking about like himself and, working and like what all he's done and how passionate he was about philanthropy and things like that. And I was like,
Mm. Do you usually choose men that you're not immediately struck by?
if you put every man I've ever dated in a lineup, you wouldn't be able to say, oh, she has a type. It's like I like what I like when I see what I like. But then there are spaces where I can get to know you as a person and like you are so attractive to me after that. Like it just depends. It depends. Now, naturally, I am gonna always be like, "Ooh, I like the way he look." Initially, but yeah, and it wasn't that I wasn't attracted to him. Like I said, I was. When I tell you, my mind was literally sitting there, and while everybody was dancing, I was over here trying to dance, and I'm like, "Okay, Tyson, Thaddeus, Carlos, Tyson, Thaddeus, Carlos," because I was trying to remember their names.
Hmm. Hmm. You know, you gave the perfect description of what I tell the man them and the ladies of what the ladies do. You know when you have to explain before you tell the group chat that hold on, ladies, before I show you this picture, just know that he's a philanthropist, he's got money, he's da 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 da. And then all the girls like, oh my god, yeah, okay, good. But you had to give a description.
It wasn't it. You asked a question. You asked what was I initially attracted to by him, and I told you what it was. When he came down the steps, I was like, he started talking and telling about himself. I was like, oh wow, because I had to listen to all of them. I mean, of course, I knew Tyson from being a model, but what else is to you? And then it was with Carlos. I was like, I don't even know who this guy is. I've never seen him before. And so when he started talking, it was like, oh, okay. And then when Thaddeus started talking, it was just like, oh, we got a whole lot in common. So
My bad. I think I meant to maybe I misspoke. I was saying, you know, what was that were you initially attracted? My
my
bad.
initial attraction, if when all of them came down, my initial attraction naturally, I think from a mental standpoint, in your mind, it's a natural to go to Tyson, like, oh, it's Tyson Beckford.
Of
But I
course.
wasn't like looking at him and being like, oh, like I want to go straight beeline to talk to him. The first person that I had my thought process wrapped around that I wanted to go and talk to get to know more, it was actually kind of a balance between Carlos and Thaddeus.
Makes sense.
Um, and Carlos mainly because more like as he talked, he was so charismatic. Like immediately when he opened his mouth and started talking, I was like, okay, he's a nice guy. And he turned out to be like a really cool, great, nice guy. And for Thaddeus, it was the initial attraction of who he was as a person. Like I was like, wow, like this dude is really that guy.
Hmm. So obviously, then the conversation with Thaddeus, you know, you guys noticed that you had some key, you know, things in common. It seemed like philanthropy. You know, you guys were hitting it off that way. In the connection with obviously you and Thaddeus, what things came to light in terms of your connection that you thought to yourself this could be something that you could pursue? I know you said obviously about the philanthropy and all that kind of stuff, but you know, as you start getting a bit deeper in your conversations, right? Did your mind go to that place where it's like, okay, this actually could be someone I could actually date along the way as well,
Yeah,
if it was
because
warranted?
yeah, because I spent time being able to get to know him in the house and get to know him as a person. And so we had time to sit and start talking a little bit about both of our backgrounds, who we were, like some of the things that we stood for. I learned about his background by we were sitting by the pool talking. So I learned a lot about his background and how he grew up and his mindset. Um, Him being a Christian, and we really got a chance to kind of dig a little bit deeper and get to know one another. So it was
Mm.
a little bit below the surface in the moments that we had. And so I did have a moment where I was like, huh, okay, because you go on a dating show and in your mind you're like, okay, it's gonna be all of these women. Like, what are the odds that you're gonna actually make a connection with somebody? And you know, the odds were there. And he's super funny and such a jokester. And so it was natural.
He is quite a fun person I've seen. And his energy is quite bright as well. So I mean, I guess that comes with the territory of being a wrestler. You know, that good vibes and good energy, as they
He's a
say.
performer.
Exactly. He loves, and I'm nothing wrong with that. I love to perform too, so I'm not mad at him. You know, it's an art and a skill. With you, then, as you said, you know, you had a moment where you thought, oh, okay, it could be. You know, you guys, you know, hit a bump in the road.
Mm-hmm.
You hit a bump in the road. I want to know, was a bump? Was a bump in the road? I think was the first argument about the comment about being
Agree.
aggressive. Was that there? Okay, before it gets to that point, you was forward, as they would say. They said you were a little bit forward, a little bit forceful, hmm? In terms of going after Thaddeus, you know, and you know, going after what you wanted, you know. And Thaddeus actually said that he, you know, he didn't mind it. He actually liked the energy that you brought to the table. And I did make in my commentary, even though I was surprised that he still did, you know, that you were exited early. I did say in my commentary, I wonder how long he would take before he tells the truth.
Before he tells the truth.
Yeah. I think when men say that they want women that are forceful and forward, they always say that, but then they don't actually want that because it's hard to turn the tables over. It's like you can be forceful within a confinement of an area. Like men don't mind. Yeah, she can be forceful in the sexual area, but don't be forceful everywhere else. That's what I find of men. But I want to know from your perspective, how did you see it? Because that's what it looked like on camera. Is that how it played out?
You know what? It was the moment that I back and became more reserved that he didn't like. He did actually like the whole.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, he actually liked it. It was me stepping back and becoming more reserved. I mean, he said in the elimination space where he was like, you know, when we were sitting on the couch talking, where he said he felt like when the other women came in, he felt like I lost my confidence. But it wasn't a confidence loss for me. It was a space where exactly what I said to him, you pursued those
Women.
connections differently than the way you pursued the one with me. So like he actively went after them. But in my mind, I felt like he expected me to come after him. And my space was, I'm gonna show you interest, and then I expect for it to be reciprocated. But when I showed interest and you reciprocated it, but then when someone else came, you like explored that in a different space in a different way. They said everything you needed to say to me.
Mm, that's interesting. So he didn't pursue you in the same way the moment you became more relaxed, more poised, and said, I'm going to take a little back seat. Let's see what you do in that particular space. Without making it like an outing or anything like that. But what any of the other ladies as forward, quote unquote, say as, because also what editing looks like, were any of the ladies as forward as you are, except for, please, Dr. Khalil, we know. Okay, that woman is forward.
In
Um,
general on the show.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Liliana. She was very forward with Tyson. Felicia was very forward with Tyson. Um, you saw it. Like it was several women that were, you know, pretty daggone forward in those spaces. It was just everybody had different personalities, and that was the beauty of this show. I tell people when they ask about my experience, I'm like, it is so crazy to date somebody that you just met, live in the house with them, and then watch them date other people too.
Mm.
And you know, typically, you know, we all out here dating. You sharing whoever it is. They got them today on the date. You on a date with them tomorrow, but you don't have to see it. It was in our face all day long. And so you could have just taken a nap with this guy on the couch. And a few minutes later, he's sitting in the room over there kissing somebody. So, or y'all could have just had this beautiful moment sitting outside under the stars, and he get up and he go inside and he cuddle under a blanket with somebody else watching TV. And I can only imagine how tough that was for the guys too, because they're building connections with several different women. And the one person, of course, we know Carlos B, he's a big one. And I know people have said whatever they wanted to say in the comments about Tyson. I actually, in a lot of spaces, felt kind of bad for him because it was so many women that were vying for him. And genuinely, as a person, because I had the opportunity to talk to him because I wasn't trying to date him, he did not want to hurt anybody's feelings. And so he was really that list on the fridge. But I was gone by then. But when I saw it play out, I was like, oh, I can see why he did it, because he was like, I want to give everybody their time. And of course you can see it and be like, oh man, that was a bunch of crap. But having had a conversation with him and talked to him, he really didn't want to hurt people's feelings, even if he already knew it wasn't a connection there. And so watching that play out with him, watching Thaddeus be between me and Ariel and then be introduced to Brianna in the process, and them having a connection to, I could see him trying to be like, okay, all right. Like I could see it like play out in his face, like how he was trying to figure out how to navigate those spaces. So I can only imagine how it was once Dr. Kalia got there and there was Ariel and Dr. Kalia for him. And then, Carlos, like he had picked Janae. And it is a tough thing. Like I saw it on his face on the show, when he was like, you bring in a perfect match for me. It's like, she is my perfect match. And then you bring in who you say is my perfect match. Like, that's conflicting. It's conflicting. So, I give them grace.
No, I definitely hear that. And I guess obviously, everyone does their own kind of thing, and it's different in their movements and how they move around, and what works, what people like, what they don't like, right? And for you, I think you had a date, right, with you have a young lady as well. Was that you? If I got it correctly? You weren't on a paint date, were you?
Yeah, I was on a paint date.
Okay, my brain is working well. Okay, how did that paint? How you take that paint day? Because, like you said, seeing someone date someone else that you like right in front of you, or seeing someone, that's tough. But being on the same date, knowing that people are out here touching bodies.
Yeah, I had that date. Me and Ariel and Liliana did jet skis with Thaddeus too. So we were on that date together. And then of course I had the date with Carlos, but they don't count. But so that was literally the first date. That was right after we met them. They asked for the date. Like the next day, that was the next time we saw them, we went on the date. And so for me, it was the only impression he has of me is whatever the impression was when we had that conversation. And so this is my opportunity to really show who I am and my personality and get to know him as much as I can while somebody else is here. And, I just really showed up authentically as who I was. And I could tell in the moment when she had a shift in her energy of like, wait a minute, hold on, I got to do something to make sure I stand out in this moment as well. And I honestly think that in certain ways, he connected with both of us on that date. I just, I didn't take a back. I wasn't going to be a third wheel on my own date.
That's nuts. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either.
I just didn't
that's it.
On my own date. That's it.
And I mean, the other girl did put some work in. I can't remember her name, but she put a bit of work in. I can't lie to you. She did a little bit of a big one. You know what I mean? And made sure she was going to be seen in that particular moment. Moving on from that particular situation, you guys did have a little bit of a spat. I say a little. I don't even say a spat. It was more that he mentioned some words in regards to you, and said, that He mentioned words aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
and you handled it quite well when you came back to him to talk to him. It's how I'd want to be talked to. You know what I mean? You know, I didn't feel like you were attacking or downing anybody. You know, you just kind of, you know, let the person know that, hey, you know, for me, those words are they got a weight and they got a gravity to them. And you explained it quite well. I actually thought it was a really good example of how someone should come to somebody and share with them that certain things are they don't necessarily like, right? Or they don't that what they experienced was painful. I think you did an excellent job. And I love the way that he actually responded. That's why I was thinking to myself, whoa, this is amazing. He's emotionally intelligent. She's emotionally intelligent. She's telling him things and he's telling her things. Wow, this is a mature two people. This could go somewhere because to see to see how you guys spoke about it and then repair the situation, it just seemed amazing. But of course, editing's a very powerful thing. From your perspective, what happened in those moments when you heard him say those words? You know, being about aggressive. Did it hit you straight away? Was it something that you know kind of was a delay reaction, and then later on you kind of thought to myself, "Oh wow, I need to address this with him," or was it an immediate thing that came to you at the time?
So it was said several times, and that's how we even got.
Ah,
So it was multiple times. It wasn't just one time or two times. It was three or more times. Um, and so by the time it got to the last one, after we had said like, no, it's assertive, not aggressive, and it was still said again, I had reached wit's end then. Um, I had reached my wit's end. I was in a space where honestly, I was like, I've had enough of this. And so I had an emotional moment behind it on my own before I even addressed it with him. And I had sat quietly, and I want to say I saw it in one of the scenes. I can't really recall where I sat quietly for like a while. And then I said something like, I want to talk to you. And he was like, yeah, I want to talk to you too. And then that's how we went outside to have that conversation. And so it was after I had been quiet, like I had been quiet like almost the whole morning. Like I wasn't saying anything because I was still processing how I felt. And I knew that I needed to say something. And then I was also pre-processing how he would potentially receive it. And you know, it's natural for me where I try to play out conversations and scenarios and situations, but it did not play out any way that I could have even fathomed it had played out, because even what I said to him wasn't what I had rehearsed in my head. So it was like I really was being authentic and vulnerable in the moment.
okay, I hear that. What made you take that route though, in terms of like discussing it the way that you did with him? Is that something you've always practiced? Is that something you've always been able to do in relationships, or is it something that you just decided on this occasion that you're going to take that route and do a different way of addressing things?
Um, I am typically, well, let me back up. I have a friend named Curtis. He's one of my best friends. And I call them Curtis conversations
Mm.
because Curtis has tough conversations with people with a straight face, and he's going to talk to you about it. And I always like, don't nobody want to have no Curtis conversation with you. Until I got to a space where I was like, I could start having Curtis conversations with people. So for me, that was a Curtis conversation. It was a C squared. And I have over the past probably like 2 years gotten to a space where I have tough conversations with people because you just have to. Um, and I mean, that was, you know, the approach where it was something's bothering me. I'm lingering behind the scenes. And then it's like, okay, you either got to talk about it or you got to move on from it and figure out how to move past it. And I'm not a person that can move past it and still be in the same space with you if I haven't addressed it. Otherwise, you're going to see it, you're going to feel it. And
Mm.
so, yeah, and it was just like, let's have this conversation, because I knew other women were getting ready to come in the house, and I couldn't leave that lingering and allow somebody else to swoop in and be able to, you know, take that to the next level. Plus, we had to go on a date with each other. He had already asked me on a date. We had to go on a date.
I didn't understand that. So where do you think it all went downhill? Because that seemed like a really good conversation. Sound like a really good conversation.
I think it was after the conversation. After the conversation, that's when I pulled back and got even more reserved. Like I just kind of pulled back, and like I said, I watched him pursue that connection that he had with Ariel, and it wasn't the same pursuit that he had with me. And I watched him pursue Brianna, and it wasn't the same pursuit. And so for me, it was, you have a connection there. I want you to be able to explore that connection because that's what you're here for. And so he started exploring the connections. They looked like they were great connections. I didn't assert myself anymore, and he didn't take the initiative to step back into it either.
Okay. I'm hearing you. Taking into account what you said about, you know, how men and how they move. You know, if they value you, then they can move in a certain way. If they don't, they move in a certain way. So I understand. In that particular perspective. Why do I feel like you guys had another conversation, another deep one? Was it two
The only
conversations deep?
one we had was, and it wasn't necessary. Well, yeah, it was. On the elimination episode when we were sitting on the couch talking, and he said to me, you know, I took a step back, and you know, I kind of got reserved, or whatever his verbiage was that he used, and I asked him, how would you have reacted if I told you I had a deep connection with somebody else? And so, which of course let you know that he had said that to me, because we had a conversation prior to that where we talked, and he told me, you know, like I do have a deep connection with her or whatever. And I was just like, I can see that. Like I want you to explore that. And so when we were sitting on the couch and talking, you know, he asked, like, you backed up. And I'm like, what would you have said? Like, what would you have done? And he's like, well, I wasn't away from what it was that we did. But I've never wanted to necessarily be a woman to be in pursuit of a man. I want to know that you want this just as much as I want it. I want to know that I am your choice. I don't want to be second to anybody. I want to know that I'm your choice. And it's okay for you to explore another connection. I'm not saying you had to do what Carlos and Janae did. It's okay for you to explore another connection. But it's also okay for you to be in this and say, I know this is what I want. Now, does it mean I want somebody to go cheat on me and then come back? Absolutely not. What it means is I want you to be sure about me, because I'm going to be sure about you. So I want you to be sure about me. And I want to know that even when I have a tough conversation with you, you're okay with bouncing back from that, and we can move forward from it as well. So, yeah.
Okay. So as we're wrapping up coming to a close of the interview, obviously your time coming to a close on the show. Were you surprised that you were I guess at elimination dinner, and surprised that you were gonna send your ass home?
No. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised that I was at the elimination dinner. Like I said, he had started exploring other connections. And when he did not invite me on that date where I ended up going on a date with Carlos, I kind of knew then, like, okay, he's really about to explore some other stuff. So I'm okay with this, and I'm okay if he's not my person. No ill feelings, nothing at all, because it was my hope that he's like a good person. It was my hope that he found his person. And if that wasn't me, then I was okay with it, because, you know, just because my king isn't here doesn't mean my king doesn't exist. So I wasn't surprised to get eliminated. I don't know. I think a part of me in my mind was like, dang, he didn't even try to fight for it. But then the other part of me was like, well, I'm glad you didn't try to fight for it if you didn't really want it. So
you wanted him to fight for it?
I mean, everybody want the other person to fight for it, at least put in a fight for it. Like, I thought enough of this to even have that conversation with you about how I was feeling. I
Mm.
could have just left it floating and left it going. I had another, like I said, y'all didn't see everything, of course, editing. So they didn't show every scene because it's so much they were trying to put in. But we had a conversation, and it was a conversation where, you know, we talked about some things. I won't go into what that was,
Of
but there
course.
was a conversation where he said the statement about, you know, I have formed a deep connection with Ariel, and it was, for me, it was like, okay, great. And I saw the connection, and I think she's a really sweet person. I love Ariel. And so I was like, okay, like I understand it, like you should explore it. But he also didn't lean back into whatever it was that we had, even though when we were sitting on the couch, he was like, I wouldn't have, you know, I wouldn't have just stopped and backed away. But essentially you did.
You
Like
did.
you did. So, you know,
I get you. Mm. Coming off the show, or at least coming to the end of the show when you was on it, what were the takeaways that you learned from being in that process? Because of course it's a quite an intense process. What were the takeaways for you from being on that journey, King's Court season 1?
I was really proud of myself with how I showed up as I
Mm.
watched it back, of course. It was it was beautiful. And I say it was beautiful for a lot of reasons. To see a lot of successful women in a house together.
Very.
And while it was, you know, people had whatever they had, it was no major cattiness and fighting and things of that nature. We supported one another in the house.
Mm.
And we leaned on one another in the house. And I developed some wonderful relationships coming out of it. I still talk to the ladies from King's Court now, coming out of it. So that was a big takeaway, was that you don't have to have a powerhouse filled with amazing women and it has to be some drama or messiness. The other piece of it was, just because, you know, something doesn't work with somebody doesn't necessarily mean that you weren't connected for another reason. You know, post that Thaddeus is a, I can consider him a friend. So post that he came and spoke as the keynote speaker at one of my events for work. And so, you know, that was great for me. And I really appreciate him coming and doing that. I'm still friends with Carlos and Janae. And so it's like, wow, I didn't find my king. I was placed there for a reason, and I found a tribe instead.
I definitely hear that. A tribe is pretty cool. I mean, find the man is probably who, but I hear you. A tribe is good. A tribe is good. You know what I mean? Just that he wasn't your king, and I respect it because I obviously no, I won't answer that question. So
That's the question. I'm either gonna not
I,
answer or not.
no, because obviously because you know the ladies also had Brianna, um, and Ariel, or you know, although they had great experiences with Thaddeus, they also found the disagreements a little bit hard, right? So the disagreements in terms of the way that he struggled with conflict and the way he handled it as well. I was going to ask, I mean, was that the same case for you guys in terms of the way that it dealt with conflicts, or did you not get that? Because again, it might be slightly different because you maybe you're early on in the process. I don't know, or was that the same thing for you? Did you also have that conflict in a sense with Thaddeus, and it kind of, you know, so that he kind of escaped?
Well, I mean, you all saw ours play out. And then you also saw me go home the next episode. You saw I didn't go on the next day. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's, you know, he didn't handle conflict well, but he handled it well in that moment. And again, I was more reserved. He did not pursue. He pursued the other connections. And no, that's his prerogative. Like I said, he was searching for what he was looking for, and I may not have been that in the moment, and I'm okay with that. Outside of that, as far as conflicts and things, I didn't necessarily have any other conflicts with him because I think we both, our sense of humor was kind of the same too. So even in the episode where he was talking about the side church hug I gave him, and then I was like, well, what do you need from me? What do you need from me, sweetheart? And so like, that's how I would try to de-escalate anything if it looked like it could have gotten somewhere. And like just de-escalating and back away from it. It's just like that one situation that we had that played out was a little bit different. And then after that, we kind of both
step back.
Yeah. So I can't necessarily put it all on him. I like I said, I take accountability for my space of me backing up and becoming more reserved from that space. And then he got, 2 other connections that he explored, and then it was time for me to go.
Go you must, they say. So coming to the end of that journey, and it was an insightful one, as you said, right? You've learned some few things. You've encountered some great people. You've enjoyed a tribe that you'd have never thought you'd have met, right? And so we bring that conversation to a wonderful close because it's been really entertaining. It's been really fun, and really unique. Like I said, I like your energy. It's like it's vibrant, vivacious, but it's also quite chill. It's quite a nice mix. It's like talking to a friend. Obviously, you run a non-profit. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about it so that we can also, get behind, support it, and show some love as well to you on your end as well.
Awesome. So it's a well-known nonprofit, which is funny because I actually have on socks right now, Boys and Girls Club.
Not you sending us the socks. You flexible. We appreciate it.
I am the CEO and president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Athens, which is in Athens, Georgia. We have 8 sites across 2 counties, and we serve youth everywhere from kindergarten up to the age of 24 years old because we have a workforce. Innovation hub as well. And of course, everybody knows our mission, who we are. If you have ever been anywhere in the world, you probably know about a Boys and Girls Club. And it's a great organization. I'm a former club kid. I've worked in the national headquarters before, and now I have the pleasure of serving as a president and CEO of a local organization. And of course, 501c3 nonprofit. So anybody want to hop on and support us and donate, or it's wonderful to learn more about it. So it's a great organization. We do a lot for kids and a lot for the community.
I love that. I appreciate you sharing that as well, because like I said, it's another side of you. I know we didn't talk about it much, but it's another side of you, and a strategist, as you said, on a daily, trying to conquer the world and help other people whilst you're at that as well. I mean, I've enjoyed this conversation. I can't lie to you. It's like I said, it's been chill, it's been vibes. I've laughed. You know what I mean? I've been able to really understand you better, get to know you better, and I think you're a cool person, man. And I pray the Lord will continue just to utilize you in the community, to as you are a CEO, and I pray that He will continue to open doors for you. But I also pray as well that your person will see you, and not just see you as outwardly, but see you as a heart as well, because your heart does radiate beyond just your beauty. We get to see a lovely, warm, energetic, fun, but you listen well. And I think I'll say it again, you listen well, and you listen with a stillness. And I pray that the Lord will also provide you somebody who also too will spend that time just getting to know you and taking time to really understand you as well, and giving you room to also be able to blossom and bloom as well in that relationship as well. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been a great pleasure.
Honestly, me too. Audience, thank you very much. All right. I appreciate y'all for coming through and joining us on this late Monday evening. It's been a very powerful conversation. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in and just kind of supporting us on this journey of conversations. Dr. Shawana, thank you again once more. And audience, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Okay, there's not much I wouldn't do. I'm joking. I'm a changed man now. The Lord has arrested me. Behave out there in them streets. Okay, it's cold. All right.